Welcome in. If you're comfortable, go ahead and put your camera on. I love speaking to people rather than just a black box with your name. And I love putting faces with names too. If not, not a problem. Do like Ashley's doing and put your picture up there again. Just helps me put names and faces all together. But welcome in, everyone. We've got a few more people connecting and joining us right now. So give me just a moment while we get everyone all squared away. Looks like everyone is well-versed in Zoom etiquette and you've all muted yourselves. I do appreciate that. Do know that if you have a question at any time, we would love to actually hear from you. So feel free to chime in with a question, raise your hand, unmute yourself, ask your question, or put it in the chat area there. We will be keeping an eye on that as best as possible. If you want to get things started and let us know where you're all calling in from, so to speak. Are you a first-time caller? Have you joined us before? Where are you calling in from? Give it one more moment while the last few people here are joining and connecting in here, and then we will get started, I promise. I know that a majority of the Cadre people on, well, currently all of the Cadre people on right now are Chicago based. So we are currently experiencing some, well, sun actually came out about an hour ago. So while I'm letting these last few people in, just thought I'd fill some time with that. We've got sun coming out, weather should be warming up, but it was feeling a lot like fall earlier today. Excellent. Last few people joining us. Wonderful. I'll go ahead and get things started. So again, welcome everybody. Many of you, I recognize your names and your faces. If you're brand new to us, welcome to you. We are very excited to have everyone here joining us today. Again, as I mentioned before, if you're comfortable, please have your camera on. I love speaking with faces and with people rather than just a black screen with your name on it, but totally up to you. Thank you again for joining our CadreTalk Town Hall today. A quick overview: Cadre is a platform open to all meeting planners, all independent, corporate, anyone in between, planners out there that need to contract staff for their events, whether it's on-site or whether they need people to help with the pre-planning work. Cadre is designed to help with all of that. And our sister company, Meeting Jobs, is designed to take care of all of that longer-term permanent placement position. So Dawn, who unfortunately wasn't able to join us today, is definitely the one to get in touch with. Dawn at meetingjobs.com if you have any questions, DAWN at meetingjobs.com. Great for all of those permanent placements. But most of you here, I know, are very familiar with us for the temp staffing portion of it, the on-site staffing especially. And I know many of you have seen a lot of those office remote postings out there as well. So today, first, I would like to introduce the Cadre team that we have joining us today. And then I want to make sure that all of your questions are addressed. We will take a look at the different ways that Cadre is being used by our clients, different types of clients we have, but we'll keep it very conversational. So feel free, again, to chime right in. We can always share the screen if we need to, but again, chime right in. So without further ado, I think most of you are familiar with me at this point. I am Kate Zeitvogel. I'm the Director of Customer Success at Cadre here. And that basically means that I am here to make sure that you and our clients are comfortable using the platform, that your questions are answered, and that any updates that we need to make, that those get relayed as well. So I am happy to help answer your questions as best as I can, but I am joined by a great team, a great cadre of Cadre employees, if you will. I have Ashley Hernreiter. She's one of our senior account managers here. Calling in with her picture because her camera's a little on the fritz, but I know that Ashley is definitely here. Was speaking with her earlier, and so we'll definitely be able to reach out with some questions. I know that some of you have some burning questions, and she's happy to answer those.
Yes, hello everyone.
Excellent. Hi, Ashley. We've got Kim Corhonen, who is our general manager, also calling in from Chicago. She is, again, happy to answer all of those questions. She is on camera, which is wonderful. And then the other, let's see, the other Cadre person I see on here is Lana, who is one of our newest employees on here. She's also in the Chicago area, and she is one of our customer success associates. So she is helping, like I am, with both freelancers getting on board, and with clients, getting them on board as well. So what does that really mean? Bringing clients on board? What does that really mean? Clients using Cadre? Well, to start off, we do have two different types of clients. At least that's how we identify them internally here in Cadre. We've got what we refer to as managed clients and non-managed clients. And the difference between the two is there's a group of people out there who are completely comfortable hopping on new technology and doing it all themselves. And those are our non-managed clients. And then there's a group of people out there who are just so massive, have so much going on that they like to hand off a piece of the work. And so that is our managed portion of that. And so we've got those two different sides. And as mentioned earlier, we are an open platform. So anyone really can come in here if you need any type of events and meeting staffing. Can all be done right in here. Now, Kim is one of our, she works on some of the managed accounts. So she's able to help address some of those questions. And we've got Lana, who helps with some of our non-managed. So she's able to help answer some of those questions. So feel free to jump in with questions once again. But just to reiterate and to help clarify a little bit, those non-managed managed clients, they all have similar logins. It all looks the same. It all gets posted the same. So when you're logging in and seeing those job postings, you won't know who's posting it. And there's a good reason for that, because people like their anonymity. They like to keep clients private, and that's totally cool. But that brings up a great point that there are a variety of events that are being posted out there. So Kim, I know that you have done a lot with both public and private postings. Can you explain real quickly? It's pretty self-explanatory, I think, but what's the difference? How are you using those two different settings?
The private are the managed clients or the managed programs, and you don't see those programs until you're invited. We've already reached out to you via email, and we've confirmed you for the client, for the program, and the clients approved that, yes, we want this person to work the program. Hey, Biana. Do you want us to let you know when she's in? So backtrack. So email you, see if you're available, confirm you, the client, managed client wants to have you on the program, then we'll send you an invite that you've been invited to this program. It's the, ABC company, here's the dates, the rate that we've agreed upon, and you accept it and all of the terms, and we click our side and it goes into your active contracts. So no, unless you've been invited, you don't see those programs. The non-managed are the ones that you'll get an email saying, hey, you might be a good fit, or I'm looking for somebody in, wherever. You'll get an email and it's like saying, oh, I'm looking for someone in food and beverage and whatever. It doesn't say any of the clients or anything. It just has kind of the specifics of what they're looking for. There's no rate really set. Usually it's like you put a bid in between certain rate parameters. You put that in there, then the planner decides who they want to hire, and you work with them and whatnot. Sometimes some of our TDs that work with us on the managed programs will email us saying, hey, tell me about that Orlando program. And I'm like, great, I can't, because it's a non-managed. So we don't know anything about that. If you have any questions, you need to email in the invitation in that specific job to the planner and ask the questions.
Excellent.
That's like any of our contracts, or any of our invites or contracts, you can email the contact, whether it's for the managed Ashley or myself or Kate or Debbie. you can reach us that way instead of emailing us in our normal email. So
perfect. So that brings up a couple of things. Lana, I know you wanted to jump in with one of them. Go for it, Lana. What do you have for us?
That there are sometimes that managed clients do post publicly for an event. Not always privately, but but it's often the management that does post privately. But even non-managed clients sometimes post privately if they have a group of people they already know. So
excellent. Yeah, totally true. And I've also seen that both managed and non-managed will use the fixed rate, and some will use the competitive rate, which I know is a question that our support team has gotten quite a bit. Why can't I update that rate in there? Lana, can you address that real fast for us? What's the difference, and how can you tell?
sure. I just recently had someone ask that. I'm seeing a rate and I can't put another rate in, and I want to actually lower my rate. And my response to them is that the fixed rate is usually determined by the client, and the client is willing to pay that amount of rate. And so that most of the people that are going to put in an offer are going to offer at that rate. So it's really a good idea to, if it's a fixed rate, to go with the fixed rate and create your offer, and to use that pitch area. I had said, one of them said, can we use the pitch area to lower our rate? And I said, you have like very limited characters to pitch yourself. So I would focus on pitching yourself and how you best fit that you're the best candidate. And because that's what the client is going to look at. So a fixed rate, you will never be able to, there's that little space and you'll never be able to put anything more in there but the $300. A range, you'll be able to do that. And usually it'll indicate what that range is. So I think that's kind of what we're talking about. So
absolutely. That's perfect. And just something else to keep in mind when the client is open to competitive offers, having that open range, they're stating their budget, which is what that range is. But you, the freelancer, can put in any amount that you want. So if it looks like it's low to you and you're willing to work it, but you're willing to work it for a different rate, put in the rate that you are willing to work it. A lot of times clients will get in touch and negotiations will happen to make that contract come all together. So don't shortchange yourself, and don't sell yourself short either, especially when you have that opportunity to put in that competitive offer. Now, on the flip side of that, one of the other things I know that we have seen and we've had clients mention to us is when they do have that fixed rate in there, they're putting it in there because they have a fixed budget and they can't change from that. So they put that fixed budget in there, but then they receive offers with notes saying, I'm willing to work this, but for X rate. Not the most helpful for them. And so they've been looking for ways to try and navigate through that. And my suggestion for all of you, if it's not a rate that you are willing to work, either in your pitch over to them, ask if the rate is negotiable, but simply stating that you're not willing to work it except for this amount. One, it's a little crass. And two, it takes up time and space. And it would be a lot better for the client, for our planners, if you simply passed on it. If you pass on it, it simply lets them know that you are not interested or you're not available one way or the other. And so they don't continually hound you to invite you and ask you to make an offer on it. So the pass is a real simple, really easy tool for you to use. It just takes a couple of clicks and it informs the client or one of us, if we're managing one of those clients, it informs us that you are not available or you're not interested. So those are all really great points. Excellent. Any questions that we've got so far?
Kate,
Yes.
someone mentioned, so they put a bid in on the program.
Mm-hmm.
How will they know if they are not selected, or because I know you guys are working with the client trying to follow up to have them make their decision sooner rather than later, but because sometimes they can hang out there for a while.
Yep.
So how will they know if
Sure.
the job's already closed and they were not selected?
That's a great question, and one that our support team gets pretty regularly as well. You should receive an email notification one way or the other. If you are selected, you should receive that email saying you've been hired, congratulations. You can now message internally. However, if you're not selected, if the position's been filled, if it's been canceled, if it's been deleted, any of those reasons, you should receive a notification, an email as well, saying it's been removed. Better luck next time. So you should receive a notification. If you aren't, double check your notification settings. That'll be over in your left column, way down at the bottom. Just keep on scrolling or keep closing those different folders in there. But in that notification setting, it should all be right in there for you. But one of the things that we have been seeing, and one of the improvements that we've been seeing, I should say, is we know that you all ask questions in that Q&A area, which is perfect when you do have questions, and clients are starting to get better about answering those questions in there. But we've also seen a lot of conversation in the chat during the interview process. So just know that there's a lot more going on than you're necessarily seeing right away. Those are some great questions. Excellent.
If the job's expired, do they get an email also saying this program's expired?
I'm not sure if they receive
Expired?
one saying it was expired. I'm not sure that it explicitly says that it was expired. I'm not 100% sure on that. I would have to take a look at that. As soon as it's removed, definitely. But there's always the chance, I suppose, that
Like they didn't pick anyone and they just leave it out there.
Yeah. We have been trying to get better about getting our clients to remove those positions that aren't going to be staffed, so that they're not just hanging out there for all of you. So hopefully you're seeing that difference starting to trickle down a little bit. It's a process, though, as you all know. Great question. What is the best way to respond when the rate is a span is one of the questions that we just received in here. And my response, or my suggestion, and Kim, Lana, Biana, Ashley, please feel free to jump in if you have a different thought on this. And the rest of you out there, please feel free to jump in if you have other thoughts and opinions on this as well. This is definitely an open forum for everyone in here. So my suggestion is keep in mind the rate, keep in mind all of the details that they have added in there. We've been working with our clients to be better about putting hours and job scope and descriptions in there so that you can better determine whether it's a good fit for you or not. But so I would keep that in mind, but I also would not sell yourself short. If it's a range that you're willing to work, figure out the range or the price that's right for you, the one that you're comfortable working, and go ahead and put that in there. Again, if it's that competitive range, you can put higher, lower, right in that sweet spot, in that range, whatever you are most comfortable with in there. That would be my suggestion on that one. I don't know that there is a specific number that I could give you that would say, yes, that's the one that's going to get you the job. Because again, it's going to always be a posting by posting portion of our process. Exactly.
Yeah, I would say that if they're listing a range, then I don't think there's a wrong answer. It would just really be based on your preference, what you think your worth is, your skills are worth. And so I don't think if you are adding an amount that's within that range, that would be wrong. So unlike before when we were saying if there's a posting for $200 and you put $500, like that's something different. But if it's within a range and you're staying within that range, then I think
Go
you're
high.
fine. Huh?
Go high.
Go high.
Yeah,
And
go
I've
high.
also-
Yeah, that's
They're
what I
really
would say.
looking-
Go
they have a
high.
range,
And
they're
I have
looking
also
for the
seen it-
skills.
Exactly.
They're not like, hey, I'm going to get the cheapest person, or they're going to say, who's going to
They're gonna
work,
go by
for, you know,
skills.
$300. They're going to say, I'm looking for these skills. So really they should be really looking for the skills of the person that they want to hire for that job.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that probably, I mean, in my case, when I'm looking for staff, most of the times I don't look at the rates first. I look at the skill sets, if the person is even qualified, and if they are a right fit. And I will talk to them, even, you know, regardless of what the rate is. And then once I lower that list down, then I can go and say, okay, well, out of these people, who is within budget, who's without a budget, is there wiggle room? So yeah, skill set for that position is always the most important. So
Absolutely.
which
And
kind of,
that's a great point, Ashley. Thank
yeah,
you.
which kind of goes into, I'm looking at Jennifer's question here, where she was a little leery to bid on a job because it was $175, but it was only for like 4 hours. So there, part of that question is you can't, we don't do an hourly rate. So there's no way to change it from a day rate to an hourly rate. And the reason being is, even if it's only a 4-hour job, most of the times you cannot take other work that day. So we're kind of doing you a service by saying, nope, we're going to charge them for the full day, because you're blocking that whole day essentially for them, whether it's 2 hours or 10 hours. So that is why we do day rates and not hourly rates. But again, it goes into not just looking at the title of the program and what the rate is listed. You have to look at the details of each program, because that is really where you're also going to see if that program is really a fit for you. It doesn't do anybody any justice if you're just blindly bidding on all these jobs and not reading the details of the job, because all the planners, public, private, all of them, should be noting important skill sets, details, notes that really pertain to that program. So it could say, you know, bazooka bubble gum, and you're like, oh, I love bubble gum, I'm gonna, you know, do this job, and then find out that it's, you know, throwing away garbage for bazooka bubble gum, and you're like, well, I don't want to do that, that's not what I signed up for. But it's like, well, if you read the description, that's what it said. So bad analogy, I get it, but it just goes to show that it is important to read those details, and you're interviewing just as much as the planner is interviewing. So you need to make sure it's a good fit for you. And if you really are okay taking that position, whether it's for a lower rate, a higher rate, skill sets that are lower than yours, if you're just looking to fill your schedule, then that's fine. But you just need to read the details first and foremost to make sure that you are comfortable with what that job is asking.
Awesome.
And long story short, that's how you're going to know also if it's just for 4 hours or 10-hour day. So I hope I answered that question in a very long-winded answer.
Excellent. Jennifer, I see your hand is up. Go ahead and jump on in here.
Concern is that if it's called a day rate,
Mhm.
I would imagine that a client is going to have an expectation that, yes, I've told you that it's a 4.5, maybe 5-hour gig, but I now need you for 8 hours, and you're there and you're locked into a day rate, and I've committed to a day rate, but I'm not willing to work 8 hours for $175. You know, so that's where, like, I understand not going to an hourly, but even if it could just have parameters that this is an understanding that this rate is up to a maximum of X hours.
Mhm.
And that gives us some ability to know that, yes, I may not be booking a second job, but I'm going to book this one for this number, but that doesn't mean it's a full day rate where I may be working 10 or 12 hours.
Absolutely. And I think that's where those event notes come in handy. And if they are not listing in those event notes the specific hours, so that you know, asking in that Q&A area and getting that answer so that you can know whether that $175 day rate is worth your consideration. Absolutely. I'm so sorry. My train of thought just went in 100 different directions there. But yes, I think that you do bring up a really good point. Having those details in there is really important. Being able to make that determination whether the $175 is worth your time is really important. And if that's not in there, asking in that questions section so that you can determine. And in that situation where all of a sudden you're on site and you've already discussed with the client, we're doing 4 hours. These are the hours. This is the day rate. We've agreed to it. That's what the contract in Cadre is. And that's why it's so important to actually have that contract actually happen within Cadre, because it'll all be in that writing and it'll all be written right in there and electronically signed in Cadre. So that's why that is so important, because then if you have that all in writing and later on you're on site and they come back and say, no, let's really stretch it to 8 hours, but keep the same day rate, you can go back and say, well, no, the contract here says 4 hours at 175 or whatever it happens to be. You can always renegotiate. There's ways to amend, update, and change for sure. Because we know that things happen. We know that the life of events is one of putting out constant fires, and fires don't go out when the clock says it's time to go home. So we understand all of that. So there is wiggle room for you and for the clients in here as well. So I hope that helped answer that a little bit while I gathered my train of thought back together again.
Thank you. I appreciate both responses.
Excellent. Oh, good. Cool. What other questions? Do we have any other questions that I can help answer? I've not been keeping an eye on the chat. I apologize. Mary Beth, I see your hand is raised. What can I do for you?
Yeah, I've got 2 questions, I guess. The first one is I get an email that a Cadre project is coming on. I click on it. It takes me into the homepage and I have to sign in.
Mhm.
And so I sign in and I still don't get to the offering. So I go back out again, I sign in again, I don't get to the offering. If I go back and forth like 3 or 4 times, finally it goes to the offering and I can respond. Am I doing something wrong, or what is going on here?
That's the first time I'm hearing of this, but my recommendation would be that once you're done with every session, make sure that you are signing out of your profile and closing that tab, because you might have your profile open in another tab somewhere. And if that's the case, the platform is going to kind of keep you going in a little bit of a circle until everything is closed out and checked out and all that other stuff. So that would be my first recommendation, is to make sure that when you're done, that you sign out and close that tab, even if it's on your phone.
When I'm done with the offer.
When you're done using, so maybe you're making an offer and then you're uploading expenses for another event, and then you're making another offer on something else. So maybe you're doing a bunch of different things. When you're done using it for that moment, for that day, for whenever you're planning on using it, whenever you're done, go ahead and just click that sign out. It's all the way at the bottom. Click on that sign out and make sure that you close that tab. Signing out should do it. But closing out of that tab will be that extra step to make sure that things are closed and synced properly. So that would be my first suggestion. And if it's still giving you that issue, let me know, let our support team know, and we'll take another look into it and see if maybe there's something funky going on. But my first suggestion would be sign out once you're done. If you're just going in, making an offer, and then you're all done, sign out after that. If you're just going in, uploading your expenses, sign out after that. It's kind of a pain, but it ensures that you're not trying to open it in multiple tabs, and should smooth that process out for you.
And also, where are the how-to videos?
The how-to videos, we've got a whole bunch of them on our YouTube channel. Beyond, if you could add that in there, our YouTube channel, we've got a bunch of those Perfect. Thank you, my dear. Go ahead, add that, bookmark your that web page in there. We're adding to them all the time. Every month, a few new videos are added. And if there's a video that you would like to see, Mary Beth or anyone else out there, let our support team know, and we'll have them work on getting that pulled together so that we can show you all the details that you need to know. You can also take a look in our knowledge base. I believe that's in that listing as well. But that's part of the, when you're in your profile and it says help down below and you can ask questions, that's our knowledge base, and you can look for a lot of our videos in there too.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Excellent. Cool. What other questions can we help answer for people?
I think there was a question about why am I getting so many postings? I don't remember the name. I'm using my phone for this one, so it's not easy for me to see the.
I think it's Karen Rich. Why do I receive so many new postings for events that are local candidates only when I live nowhere near those locations?
That's a good question. I would have to take a look, but it should depend upon where your location is set under contact. If you recall, when you are creating your profile, there are two different places where we capture your location. And one of them is under contact, and that's going to be the location where you are based right now. I know that many of you move around and have different home bases throughout the year. So that's what that location is for. That's the location that comes up when a client is posting a project and looking for local staff and looking to invite you. That's the location that comes up, is the one that's in contact. So if you start out the year in Chicago and then you spend your summers in Alaska, you'll want to make sure that you update that location so you don't have people local in Chicago looking for you and asking you to make an offer if you're based out of Alaska at that time. The other location is in that tax information area, and that should be all of the tax, just your tax address. And that one, unless you update your EIN or tax information, you really shouldn't need to update that information. It's the one in contact that's really important. Now, why are you receiving them for locations that are not yours? I'm not sure. If you could give us more specifics, like the cities that you're receiving them for and where you are based, that might help me narrow it down, help our tech team narrow it down. But let us know. If you could email our support team, I know that they especially will be able to address that one. support@hirecadre.com. And I'll have them keep an eye open for that one, because that is strange. What other questions can we help answer? I'm sure everyone's.
There's another question from Danielle. Spring was a very busy time. Are you finding that fall is just as busy with staff requests?
That's a great question. Kim, what are you seeing these days?
The fall is a little busier than it has in the past, but fall is known to be not very busy, not as busy. So, and now I'm hearing from some people that some December things are closing or moving till next year just because of the new COVID variant that's out there that's expecting to get worse during the wintertime. So it's all kind of like a moving target. So
back to uncertainty, it sounds like. Oh, fun.
Nope, never left it.
That's probably true. Ashley, what are you seeing these days? I know she's unmuting herself at the moment.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there you go.
Okay,
Perfect.
there we go.
What are you seeing for fall, Ashley? Is it looking busy for you?
I'm steady. I don't know if I would say, I'm not swamped, but I am steady with work. Few different programs going around. So, we're always happy to gather everyone's availability. So,
Perfect.
happy to, send that over. I think Deanna was gonna try and capture some availability from everybody as well. So definitely good to have those on hand.
Excellent. So busy enough that we're needing to gather general availabilities from people,
Yes.
which if it hasn't been sent out, it's being sent out a little later today, right, Biana? I see you nodding your
I
head.
think
Yes.
that's just because you don't necessarily have a huge volume, but everything overlaps.
Correct.
And it's like overlapping more than it has like in the past.
Yeah.
So everybody wants to have things same time. So it's not like you're having, getting like it was earlier in the year where the volume of programs was ginormous. It's just, and overlapping. This is just the normal like overlapping and finishing out programs that people were redoing from like the past couple of years. So.
All right. Excellent. Mary Beth, I see your hand is up again. What can we do for you?
Right, a couple of town halls ago, we talked about the video. Maybe it was the last town hall, we talked about our video. So I deleted my old video because it was looking at me from my nose up. And and I did ask support if, if I made a recording, what the easiest way was to upload it onto the Cadre site, and did they have to do a YouTube for that? And they said no, they didn't. It was maybe a good idea to do one, but if anybody has any hints about how to do it, because I'm not a digital native, I can record. I have no problem with that. It's the uploading to the Cadre site that I get kind of lost on. If anybody else, I'm figuring maybe some other people have the issue too, but maybe not.
Cool. Well, I have found for me, since I do it from my phone, logging into my profile from my phone and uploading it that way was the easiest for me. Just clicking on that, I think it's a little triangle. It looks like a little play sign in that video area and uploading my video. Now, it can't be super long. There's only limited amount of space in there. So that would probably be the biggest hurdle, is just making sure that it's about a minute or under would be my suggestion. But doing it from my phone was the easiest way for me. And I've just made a note of creating a video on how to add your video to your profile. So we will get that added in there as well. That's a great suggestion for sure. So thank you. Did you have another question, Mary Beth?
Oh, thank you.
Okay, sure. Thank you. That's excellent. I know that most people on here are typically work on site, but I know that a lot of you also have planning skills as well. And I know that another question that our support team frequently gets is, why can't I see all of the projects that are posted out there? And I think we've listed a bunch of reasons why, maybe it's posted privately, maybe they've only invited a few people, but maybe it's also posted in an expertise that you have not selected. So I know that Lana had mentioned it a little earlier, that making sure that when you're building out your profile, selecting both skill sets, if you are able to do planning and go on site, or you're used to doing on site, but you also know all of the planning work, having all of that selected so that you can see the broadest range of projects out there is going to be very important as well.
Do your profile, and down the line where it says expertise, and it'll say, and you click on that, it'll say on-site, or it'll say office remote.
Mhm.
And if you want to get more, and if you really think you qualify for the pre-planning side, and I think a lot of you do, then select that as well. And then you will get more notifications of both remote and on-site programs. So.
Absolutely. And we've seen quite a few, actually quite an uptick on that office remote position posting side of things, where clients are looking for some CVent help or some registration help or call center help. So we've seen all of that in there. So if you have that skill set, we definitely encourage you to go into your profile in the left-hand column, click on expertise, and making sure that you have that highlighted in there. Mary Beth, another question from you, my dear. What can I do?
Sorry, I guess I'm really, so when you were mentioning these, I did go in and do that, but I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you can only select the skills that are listed.
You can add skills in there. So if there are So by typing it in and then hitting enter, it'll add new skill sets in there. So if there's something that's not listed, I don't have a great example right now because we've tried to be.
But
Let's say I'm trying to add ballet in there and it's not showing up. That's the most obscure one I could come up with and something I could add. So maybe I'm trying to add ballet and it's not popping up for you. All you need to do is keep typing and then hit enter and it'll populate in there. In the back end, we'll be able to review and make sure that it's an actual thing and that you're not just cursing at us or anything like that, but if there is a skill set that you would like to add in there, that's going to be the best way. And the other way to do it to make sure that it's definitely, or if you've got certifications that you're not seeing listed in there, or anything else like that, email our support team and they'll be able to pop into the back end of things and get all of that updated and added, so that you're able to show off all of those skills and certifications. That's a great question though. Excellent. What other questions can we help answer? I'm sure there are a bunch that I'm not intentionally ignoring, but Biana, jump in. What do we have?
This one's from Beth. If on site and the client has a change of or extension of time, how's that handled / confirmed? It's just going back to Jennifer's original question.
That's a great question. So that's kind of where we come in. That's where our team comes in and letting us know the updates and changes that have happened on site. Because I know that it's all happening verbally when you're on site, and then we need to make that all solidified, right? So that's where we come in, get us involved for sure, whether it's managed or non-managed, any changes that happen on site. Or if you're working in office remote position, any of those changes, let us know, so that we can help make sure that you are properly compensated. It all depends on what the particular situation is. If they're extending things, if they're adding hours, if they're cutting days, whatever it happens to be, just loop us in, keep us in the loop. If it's one of our account managers that have been managing things all along, and then you get on site and there's a meeting manager that you're reporting to and they change things, still let our account managers know because they need to make those updates in Cadre. If it's a non-managed client and you've been working with someone, you get on site, still do that messaging within Cadre so that we have that record of what is going on so that we can make sure that we can help you in there. It's a great question. What other questions can we help answer for people? Biana, lay it on.
Is there a way to upload your resume? I don't feel like I'm getting appropriate job postings.
Interesting. We don't have a way to upload your resume, but we do have a variety of ways to highlight and focus on all of that relevant information. So make sure that you're adding your details and that work experience. If you have corporate meeting planning experience and you've been working at the same association for 10 years and you want to show off all of that information, make sure that you put all of that in there. List it year by year. Presumably you grew over those 10 years that you were there. So add each of those new skill sets like you would on a resume. So we don't have that place for a resume, but that would be the best way to put that in there. Think that about you section. Think about that as being your summary, something to really catch attention, be as concrete as possible. And I would even recommend getting super micromanagery or super granular. That's the word I'm looking for. Get super granular with it. So instead of just saying, I've been in the industry for 10 plus years and I started at Disney and have since gone on site for a bunch of other people, to be even more granular and even more concrete, saying I started at Disney in Chicago in 2010, doing meetings for their CEOs and VIPs. How much more information is that right in that segment rather than saying 10 plus years, Disney, and I do stuff. So get really granular in all of that. that would be my recommendation for all of that. And then in that pitch, like Lana was mentioning earlier, and like Ashley was mentioning earlier, that pitch is, again, a great short way just to grab the client's attention. And clients are really using that area to help pinpoint like who they want to talk to. So being more detailed in there and calling things out that are specific to that event will help you in that. Saying things like 20 years at registration, or 20 years C-Vent registration experience, and get real granular, is going to look great in that pitch, rather than lots of reg experience, can't wait to help. That's just a little too fluff. People are looking for concrete these days. So be concrete as much as you can is our recommendation.
I also
for
want to add, yeah, if you're putting in a pitch for a job, I think that's also where you need to be very granular, very specific, and kind of note back what they're asking for. So I think, again, just saying have 20 years meeting experience and would be a great fit for this program, but like they're asking for something very specific, a specific skill set. I would then hone in on that and detail in your pitch what your specific experience is in that role, versus just saying, I have 20 years experience. Well, that's great, but have you done this? Is what we, the planners or whomever, is going to think like, oh, well, that's great. But I mean, there's a lot of different areas that you could have been doing in that 20 years. So I think being very specific, and it's also inviting to the planner to then open up a conversation. I think it's like, oh, wow, well, that's great. You know, oh, I worked 20 years doing event setup, whatever, food and beverage for whatever. You can get very specific, and then that planner can then follow up with more specific questions, whereas if it is more general, they're kind of more likely to overlook it and go straight for those people who do put those specific notes in it.
And I think that shows that you actually read what they're looking for. You're just not, what I've seen is some people just, you're not qualified, but you're still putting your, bid in for a job. So that kind of, that's not going to get you anywhere, but really showing that you paid attention to what their needs are. That's going to get you further along.
I agree. I think just slowing down and taking the time to really make the offers and personalize them will get you farther than just mass applying.
I absolutely agree. I think that's a great point. And I think that kind of loops into one of the other things that we've seen a lot of clients have been using Cadre to find and build their teams with local staff. And I know that this was mentioned a little earlier, that there are a lot of those local preferred postings out there. So just keep your eyes open for that little detail in there. I know that it sounds like some people are slipping through somehow and getting those notifications. You should all be able to see them on your dashboard, but you won't get a notification unless you're within a specific radius to that event, if that's how they are choosing to source people, is local preferred. But keep an eye out, because it is something that a lot of clients are using very frequently to help build their team, is looking for those local people. If it's not for you, if you're not local, go ahead and click on pass and you don't have to see it again. So quick and easy, no need to respond to it. But if you are not local and you are responding, just know that you will probably not receive any response as a result. So just keep that in mind. What other questions do we have?
What percentage of the jobs on Cadre are being filled or are filled?
Oh, I really don't know. Most, I mean,
All of them?
yeah, I mean, I know that there are a handful that don't get filled for one reason or another. Either it gets canceled or the client downgrades the number of people they have. But that is very rare. Yeah, I'm going to side with Ashley and say that just about all positions that are posted get filled. Some take longer than others. I know that we have quite a few clients who were especially dragging their feet end of August into the beginning of September because higher ups were not in town and they were waiting for their approval. So I think that now that we're on this side of the holiday weekend and summer, that response rates will improve considerably because summer is getting out of our systems and end of the year is looming and people are starting to realize it. So I think that that will be something that we see as well. Excellent. We've got about 10 minutes left. Happy to answer all of your questions. So make sure that you jump in. Again, you don't have to type it if you don't want to. As Mary Beth has wonderfully demonstrated for us today, we're happy to talk with actual people. So please jump in with all of this. As other questions come in, I'm sure there are others. Bianna, if you don't mind keeping an eye on that for me, I do appreciate it.
There are a couple
Okay.
already sitting. This
Jump
one,
in when you're ready.
this one is, I've been with Cadre for about a year now and have bid on several jobs, but thus far no hires. Any suggestions on like what to do?
I would be more specific with your pitch. I'm not sure who this was, and I don't know what all you're making offers on. But I would be very specific with your about you, your bio area. If it's not already detailed, just make sure it's as fleshed out as possible. You don't have to use all of the words in that about you area, but having as much detail in there as possible is wonderful. And then again, with the pitch is really one of the first things that clients are seeing, managed and non-managed. They're looking at that pitch area, and what's grabbing their attention are specifics. Again, saying, pick a year, 2000, I worked Apple conferences, whatever it happens to be that really highlights that particular posting. So if it's a tech conference, make sure you highlight all of your tech experience and be detailed. What specifically do you enjoy about it? If you do particularly enjoy that industry. So get as granular as you can. We are day by day adding clients to our roster, which will also help with all of that as well. So keep at it. Be more specific would be my suggestion, and make sure that your skills are as up to date as possible as well, and as granular as possible. Funny enough, one of the most common skills that we have seen listed by our clients is English as a language. Must speak English as your language. So making sure that you have something as granular as all of the languages that you speak. And if you are multilingual, have all of those in there, because that's going to be incredibly helpful as well. But not just verbal languages, not just written languages. Make sure that any computer languages you understand is also in there. Do you know Microsoft? Do you know Apple? Do you know PowerPoint? Do you know Zoom? Do you know Bizzabo? Do you know Cvent? Flex Web Build? Do you know attendee registration? Again, get granular, because people are searching for those, both just in general on Google, saying Cvent Flex Web Build freelancer, and Cadre will pop up, and hopefully so will you. But in Cadre too, once they post their project and they start searching through the database of all of you, they're starting to look and see, okay, so if I search for everyone that knows Cvent Flex Web Build, here are all the people that show up, and I'm going to invite you, and you. Awesome. Couple hands are up right now. Jennifer, I think yours was up first. Go for it.
One thing.
1 second, Jennifer.
What I noticed is when people are updating their skills, you
Yes.
like click the remote or the on site.
Mhm.
If you did both, make sure that both are like blue, because someone is like, oh, I was signed up as on site, and now I want to put remote, so I'm putting the skills in there, but then they removed the highlight for the on-site. So I'm like trying to put them on a program, I'm like, they're not showing up. And it's like, they went in there and they unhighlighted the like on-site.
Yeah, you need,
So just make sure anything changing, if you're doing both, like both are highlighted.
Perfect. Yep. Excellent. Jennifer, what's your question? Jump on in.
Does Cadre receive feedback when we go on programs from, either our performance or whatever that feedback is? And is there any way that that can either be shared with us? And if it's positive, if that can be then put onto our site as testimonials, because we don't have that information. It's not given to us unless it's verbally.
Right.
And if you have it, that'd be great for it to show up on your website.
If we have
for
it,
others to
we
see.
add it in. Yep.
Oh,
If we
it's
have it, we
so
add
cool.
it in, but we also recently have added some new logic in here so that for those like managed ones specifically, where it's not necessarily us who are on site with all of you, we've done some new automations so that those requests for those reviews are automatically going out to those people that you were working with on site.
Oh, not yet. We're still working with the managed accounts because it's been so crazy that we haven't moved that into having the lead or whoever get that to do any feedback. So that's in our to-do to get that situated for managed accounts.
There you
And is
go.
that only going to the lead?
No, but they're
TD?
with all the managed accounts, everybody on the, if we haven't called you about, oh, there's an issue, then there's good stuff. Or sometimes clients email in and then they'll email the staff, hey, here's an email from the client or whatever that you did, good job. But we're still, like I said, for the managed, we're still working on how to adjust that moving forward to get that in. Because even the history of TDs sending stuff out to get feedback, it was never done. So now hopefully moving this way electronically to send it out, that it'll be more apt to get done, but we're still working out that process with our clients. Like I said, just there was a lot of changes. It was kind of crazy. And the last thing they had time for, either the lead or whoever, was to like complete feedback because everybody's been super swamped.
And
But that is something that we're figuring out.
for the managed accounts, is that just
Right.
going to the lead TD, or is it going to the memos,
Will-
or does it
will
go to the
be-
actual
no.
end client?
No, not the end client. No, it's only like and that'll be determined probably on the program if everybody's working underneath the lead, a small program or area leads, that'll be determined by the programs, and that's still what we're working out.
Okay, so if
Now
we-
that it's
if
kind
we-
of like slowed for a bit, but when you've worked a managed client, we already know that, oh, you did a great job in the program, whatever, so you're a known entity. When you've worked a managed program, you're a known entity for that client. I guess. I should
Right.
say that, yeah.
Which is great, but
Yeah.
like in September, I haven't had any bookings, but I've had fabulous reviews on the others, but I don't have any of those kudos or those, testimonials on my site. So if anybody is, if anybody's looking at me, that's a non-managed account, they see no feedback, but I don't have access to that feedback aside from verbally. But if you've got any of that feedback, it'd be great to be able to see it. And for us to know who do you get that feedback from, because while it may be from a lead and they may give you good feedback, but the client may be raving about you as well.
But
Can we solicit from them?
Right. No, you can't solicit clients for feedback. And like I said, we're working with our managed clients just to get the process done, because that's a little different than just a general person, because with privacy and things like that, with how they want to handle things. And every managed client might be different on how they want to handle things. So, but we are working on that. Yep, absolutely. We are getting there.
Susan, what question can we help answer for you?
Okay, this kind of goes back to what we were previously speaking of, how you were saying, be more specific, granular about your expertise and your experience. Are you talking about in that area where you only have 140 characters? I mean, it's really hard to put anything. I mean, so do you not use full sentences or proper grammar, or what? Like, how can you get enough information in it? I mean, I've typed out 2 sentences and it's too long. So I was just trying to
I
figure
know
out.
the feeling. I've done the same thing actually. And it's a great big chore in conciseness for sure. I definitely recommend digits where possible, and abbreviations where possible, and sentence fragments, I think, are fine in that situation, because really keep in mind that pitch, because this really is a great question, one that we get quite a bit. The pitch really is, it's not even that 30-second elevator pitch, right? It's like a 3-second elevator
Yeah.
pitch. Like they're going from floor 1 to floor 2 because they're just too busy to walk. And you've got those 3 seconds. So saying, that's what I personally would do in that.
I've tried that. It's
Yeah,
just
I'm
super hard. And then I saw like there are some people who under questions, they will use questions to put
Yeah.
some of that, but it says
Sure.
specifically, don't ask,
Yeah.
don't try and promote yourself on here. This is just for asking questions. So I'm a rule follower. I try and do that, but I mean, maybe that's not helping me. I don't know. So I was wondering, since I'm kind of new to this, I was just trying to figure out if there is another mode of,
Yeah, it's a great question. And one of the things that I have done, and one of the things that makes it easier for me, at least, is I've got a document where I've got like 3 or 4 pitches just ready to go that I can update as needed. And one is like more tailored toward like the office remote type position. And that way I've got it like, I use my word processor to be like, okay, I'm at 100 characters, right?
I've done that too. I'm just having a hard time.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
I do like
And then-
in Word where it counts the actual digits for you.
Well, and
I'm
that's why I've got like 4 of them. Exactly. That's why I've got like 4 of them, because when I had everything, it was way too much.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, if I'm focused on this type of job, what out of all of these things are going to be the highlights that I want someone to see? All right. And I picked like 4 of them. And sometimes it changes based on what the posting is, right? So some, like, I might use those 3 and then swap in a different one, because it's more impactful that way.
You can't possibly have 3 in one. That would be like, that's like 50 words each one.
And I think that's where if you're bidding on a registration slot, your registration 10 years, whatever, then they're like, oh, this is what I'm looking for. Then they're going to go to your profile and they're going to read about you. So that's just the pitch is just like gaining their interest so they can go to your profile and read your bio and all your skill sets.
And also know that all the people that are posting are in the industry. So using in industry abbreviations, totally acceptable. So
like F&B. Yeah, I've done that.
Yes, exactly.
I guess I just need to go back and spend some time on it, but it's hard.
Susan, another thing, when you go to your experience and you list all your experiences, sometimes you can be really specific as to your skill sets in your work. And if you can drive the client to look at your full profile, I think that would be helpful. I know it's really hard to do it.
It is.
Yeah.
All right, Susan, I hope that helped answer your question a bit. I definitely encourage everyone to join us for next month's town hall. We will address a lot of this and a whole lot more. We will be sending out emails with that registration link. So I hope to see you there. I hope to see many of you there. Sorry, to wrap it up, there were a lot of really great questions. If a question you asked was not addressed, please feel free to send it our way. Support@hirecadre.com is going to be your best bet for any of these technical questions. If you've got an accounting question or a money related question, feel free to email our accounting team at accounting@hirecadre.com. Or if you have an event specific question, reach out in that Q&A or in the messages in your specific event. I look forward to answering all of your questions next month. Keep them coming. We're excited to have you all here. Thank you all again for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you in October. Thank you, everyone.